Welcome everyone to the first Insights webinar of 2023. And thank you for joining us today for another edition of a fortnightly IRENA Insights webinar series. My name is Karan Kocher, and I'm joining from IRENA's Innovation and Technology Center in Bonn, Germany. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I would like to introduce IRENA and our webinar series. IRENA is an intergovernmental organization with currently 168 member countries and another 16 in the accession process. We support countries in the transition to a sustainable energy future and serve as the principal platform for international cooperation, a center for excellence, and a repository of policy, technology, knowledge, and financial resources on renewable energy. And because our analytical work and our engagement with our members generates a lot of valuable insights, we are constantly looking for more ways to share these insights with you. And this is why we launched this webinar series, which we run every other week, usually on Tuesdays. We started in January 2020 before the pandemic proliferated many virtual events. And so far, we have organized about 50 webinars on various topics. You can check them all on our IRENA events website, and the link to that will be in the presentation slides. We understand there are many longer deep dive webinars out there, but our aim is to keep these webinars short and sweet, lasting approximately 30 minutes. While we cannot cover everything in this time frame, we hope to give you enough information, and more than that, the resources of more in-depth information to help explore the topic further. Today, in the next 30 minutes, we will hear from Sean Collins, Associate Program Officer for Renewable Energy Roadmaps at IRENA's Innovation and Technology Center in Bonn, Germany. Sean will share insights from IRENA's report titled Renewable Energy Roadmap, Nigeria. Next slide, please. Next slide, thank you. But before I hand over the microphone to Sean, a few housekeeping items. The webinar will be recorded and posted on IRENA's website. You're on mute, but we encourage you to use the Q&A function or the chat function to ask us any questions. Without any further ado, let me welcome Sean to our IRENA Insights webinar series. Sean, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karan, for that introduction. And yes, exactly like you said, Karan, trying to cover a full roadmap in 30 minutes to cover all the avenues that could be explored and all inputs and outputs would be extraordinarily challenging. So the aim of this is to be short, sweet, communicate the findings and some of the key insights. Hence the name IRENA Insights from the remap, the Renewable Energy Roadmap for Nigeria that we produced. But first of all, I'll give you a brief overview of some of the work of the remap Renewable Energy Roadmap team. And our reports span many types of focuses. So we start off with our global reports, and we produced the World Energy Transitions Outlook, which is a key document which documents and outlines the challenges and opportunities of achieving the energy transitions globally. And we detail pathways to meet a 1.5 degree climate compatible future. And our regional roadmaps further unpack these kinds of insights and analysis at a regional level. So most recently, we produced the ASEAN Outlook, which identified key technologies and trends and cross-country international opportunities such as regional expansion of interconnection, cross-border development of renewables, etc. And we are also producing various key roadmaps at the moment focused on South America and the European Union and Eastern Partnership. And the focus of today's workshop is a country-based analysis for Nigeria. And this aims to look at the growing and evolving energy needs of Africa's largest country and economy, and see how to meet them going forward in a growth compatible and climate compatible future. And we will be delving into this more deeply today. And we've also provided some thematic reports on the future of wind power, solar photovoltaic, and international oil companies and their transition. So, without further ado, the key goal of the Remap Nigeria study was to support the energy transition debate within Nigeria and provide full integrated energy systems analysis for a wide range of national scenarios. And by considering such a wide range of scenarios which consider different growth rates and different technology options, we can help understand the trade-offs between these different pathways. What are the impacts of a high renewables pathway and what can be done to achieve it? And a key cornerstone of the Remap approach is that it is centered on stakeholder engagement. So to this end, there are multiple workshops throughout the Remap process, which aim to capture a broad range of national concerns around all different technologies, different sectors, sectoral analysis, etc. And ultimately, this helped us drive meaningful and targeted insights throughout the course of this study. And of course, all this information is available online on the IRENA website. So first of all, just to present the scenarios we consider, there are multiple, but so we consider two key scenarios: the planned case and the transforming energy scenario, which is an increased renewable uptake case within Nigeria. And we do this for multiple growth rates of each to perform a sensitivity of these scenarios to economic growth. And this helps us understand how the country's energy system will develop under current and planned policies. What are the possible energy transition strategies that could be adopted? What sector is the most relevant to prioritize? What is the role of various energy carriers nationally in achieving this transition? And finally, of course, what are the investment needs and how should they be shifted from a planned case, and what are the differences that there are there? So now I'll just go through these results now and the key tenets of the analysis, which are the 6 key pillars of the energy transition as identified by our study within Nigeria. And this was a fully integrated approach which modeled all the end use sectors. So buildings were modeled, transport sector was modeled, industry was modeled, power sector was modeled in both with elements of on and off grid being captured therein. And the 6 key pillars of the energy transition in Nigeria were identified based on the insights that were gained throughout this analysis. So, and the first being energy efficiency, to prioritize that and essentially reduce the primary energy needs nationally. And then further on that, we explore the expansion of renewables in electricity generation, and of course how this feeds into the electrification of transport and sustainable mobility, the impact of modern cooking technologies, how direct use of renewables in the industry could be key, and as well as the increased mechanization of agriculture with renewable energy. And I'll go through each of these points and the key pillars now. So energy efficiency is key across all end use sectors. And as you can see in the scenario, without energy efficiency, that there is great energy efficiency achieved in total final consumption, with in total energy demand under current and planned policies grows to 2,155 in 2015 petajoules in 2015 to nearly 4,000 in 2030 and 10,000 in 2050. And Nigeria's electricity consumption is set to grow over 5-fold by 2050 in both scenarios, delivering very significant efficiency gains due to the higher efficiency of renewable of electrical technologies. And you can see here clearly that such efficiency is key to reducing total final energy consumption. And in our transforming energy scenario on the leftmost column, in 2050, you can see renewables meet just under 50% of energy demand. And what's key to achieving this energy efficiency going forward? First of all, we're mandating the use of the most efficient energy appliances, having increased efficiency in building standards for new construction and retrofitting the commercial sectors, as well as financial schemes being needed to implement this. Minimum standards and emission limits for vehicles would also be key, and adoption of circular economy principles and wider structural changes in the economy. So, and now, as mentioned, the electricity needs are expected to grow fivefold out to 2050 in this case. And how does achieve have a key impact on the system? And now what becomes immediately clear is the very high penetrations of solar PV, much of which will be grid connected and off grid, and this would imply a paradigm shift in system operation in order to integrate such high levels of variable renewables. And of course, PV, of course, batteries can help deliver reliable power across the day and year when the sun isn't shining. And with one of the best solar resources in the world, it is, and combined with a lot of the reducing costs, as we've seen in our recent IRENA costing reports, adopting high levels of solar PV is a real opportunity for Nigeria to take on and take advantage of some of the lowest cost power sources available today. But how can this be achieved? What action plan is needed? First would be the accelerated development of integrated planning to meet expanding electricity demand. So this would be increasing generation capacity, grids, storage for both on and off grid systems. Foster innovative financing mechanisms for distributed renewables in off-grid and mini-grid systems through blended finance and microfinance to deliver high penetrations, which are also applicable to utility scale. Financing of feasibility studies for the development of a wide portfolio of projects, and de-risking adjusted contract models to reduce the cost of capital and promote investment attraction for renewable energy. Now, electrification and increased adoption. Electrification and increased adoption of biofuels can reduce fossil fuel demand growth by 2/3 using local renewable sources. And this is key in achieving sustainable mobility. Transport is set to become the largest demand sector, rising from 19% in 2015 of end use to 40% in both the planned energy scenario and the transforming energy scenario by 2050. The transforming scenario in the transforming energy, the transport sector in the TESS evolves such that gasoline and diesel-run vehicles are increasingly replaced by biofuels and electricity and compressed natural gas vehicles. Modal shift is also crucial, with shifts to local and regional mass transit facilitating higher efficiency, and the same goes for freight. But what are the action plans needed to scale such renewables to such levels of renewables in transport? Key will be faster adoption of biofuels, given Nigeria already has a biofuel in place, but it needs to be improved and implemented appropriately to achieve such high levels of biofuel penetration. Policies aimed at transport electrification and acceleration of the adoption of electric vehicles should be put in place. And also the enhancement of public transportation offerings and rail infrastructure driven by renewables will be key to achieving the modal shifts and energy efficiency needed in transportation. Key Key also will be the provision of universal access to clean cooking technologies and fuels. And this will be greatly helped by the introduction of electric stoves and improved cooking stoves. At over 60% of total fossil consumption, the building sector was the largest energy consumption sector in 2015. And this largely arises due to the low efficiency of the use of traditional biomass. Should this be substituted with more efficient stoves, either through modern bioenergy stoves or through electrification or other clean cooking technologies, this energy need could be dramatically reduced, and this could see electricity use grow from 15% of demand to 60% in the residential sector, while a maintained high share in the commercial sector would be foreseen. Cleaner cooking technologies would also play a key role in cooking and water heating. And now to achieve this, there needs to be a financing mechanism for clean cooking technologies. Access programs need to build upon existing appliance efficiency and lighting programs to deliver these. Energy efficiency policies must be adopted, as well as circular economy principles and wide structural changes. Now, substitution of biomass in industry and solar thermal can reduce the energy needs and fossil fuel volatility due to the increased use of renewables in the sector. Industrial energy is set to grow over 7-fold in the planned energy scenario, but this is reduced to 5-fold in the test case to deployment of efficient technologies to minimize the use of inefficient bioenergy technologies. And to achieve this renewable future, there are various elements. First and foremost, again, the development of local renewable energy technologies, characterization of the industrial sector and promotion of energy efficiency and direct use of renewable solutions. As well as common to the building sector, focus on energy efficiency improvement in small and medium-sized enterprises, and by providing fiscal incentives to boost these capacities and adopt state-of-the-art technologies. But key also will be the use of solar heating and their promotion in large industries, particularly for low-grade heat processes. Now, finally, the final pillar of the energy transition, as that kind of came through in the analysis, was increased mechanization of agriculture with renewable energy mostly. Now, while the agriculture sector represents a small share of overall energy demand within Nigeria, it is a very, very large economic sector. And through the increased adoption of renewables and mechanization, this could see the efficiency within the sector grow as well as its development grow. Solar-based and electric pump sets, as seen in our analysis, really help substitute diesel and gasoline pump sets, which offer substantial increases in energy efficiency, and allows it to achieve a very high renewable share of 70%. But key to achieving this would be improving the affordability of these new pump sets. While solar irrigation pumps are already cheaper in terms of levelized cost of energy, it's not this that dictates their purchase necessarily, due to the higher level of capital outlay, which can lead to a need for financing mechanisms to allow higher penetrations to be achieved. Policies need to be promoted to adopt these efficient pump sets, as well as incentives to promote the adoption of alternative fuel tractors. Now, this is the final slide. Now the transforming energy case does show itself to be a cost-effective scenario. And while overall investments are broadly similar to the planned energy scenario, they need to be shifted and redirected to achieve the planned energy scenario and targeted towards renewables, which will greatly reduce reliance on fossil fuels and thus the exposure to such volatility in their pricing. And you can see various different components. So you can see how modern renewable energy is scaled. You can see the share of electrification of final energy rising to about 30%, just under 30%. Renewables in power generation hits a breathtaking 84%. And the number of electric cars, number of efficient cook stoves and electric cook stoves, and the renewable energy share across sectors. So, and this implies it's a multifaceted, multi-sectoral approach that is needed, and an integrated energy framework that captures not only how each sector operates, but their interaction both operationally and from a higher level in terms of policy and target setting. And this is needed to achieve this pathway. So to develop a well-functioning and comprehensive financial planning framework is needed for successful scaling of these clean energy projects across the board and solutions across the whole energy system of Nigeria. And as pointed out across the various energy sectors, financial de-risking mechanisms are needed to enable investments beyond development finance. And with that, I'd like to pass back to Karan and discuss further.
Great. Thank you so much, Sean, for the presentation. I believe you certainly covered a lot in the last 15 minutes.
Yes.
I would encourage the audience to take advantage of the Q&A feature to ask any questions they have regarding the presentation. We can wait for a few minutes. We have already received a few questions, and I can ask them to Sean cumulatively if that works for you. So we'll just take a minute to wait for the questions, and then we can start the Q&A. Okay, let's start. I think we already have a few questions in line, and if our audience have any more questions, we encourage them to use the Q&A feature, like I mentioned before. I think what was two things stood out for me was the investments related to the planned energy scenario and the TES, and that even though there are similar investments, the benefits that you get out of them are considerably different.
Mm-hmm.
That was one key takeaway for me. But our audience is also interested in exploring the role of geothermal hydrogen as energy carriers, and also hydro for agriculture. Do you see any potential for these? From a presentation, I understand that solar has Nigeria is rich in solar resource, but what about these other energy carriers?
No, so certainly it's a very interesting question, and actually what comes through when you look at this, when you go through the various different inputs and renewable energy resources, all of them have a key role to play, but the solar technologies came through in such a key way because the resource is well distributed, and actually as a result, it sees high penetration on a cost basis due to a lot of this analysis being done in a cost optimization model. But the role of these other technologies is also key, but solar comes through mostly for this reason. But it certainly will be an avenue for future work to explore this further.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely. I think that's a it's a very interesting piece of work that would follow from this question, and I thank the audience member who posed this question. Moving on, we have people asking about policy and financing strategies that can be applicable in this context. Do you have any insights on that? I know you mentioned de-risking as an instrument, but any specific strategies that can be discussed?
So certainly. Yes, while the focus of this study was primarily on the energy system transformation that's needed, we did also look at a high level what's needed to achieve this with various colleagues internally within IRENA across divisions. And what came through is due to the high level of capital cost, it's essentially while these costs are while the overall costs over a long period are cheaper. This doesn't mean that the higher capital costs of these technologies doesn't have an impact. So I think a key factor going forward will be to alleviate this and allow this need not be a barrier to adoption, because while for a traditional diesel operation, you might have a lower capital cost. You end up paying more over the horizon, over the overall lifetime, and it's items. And then will be a more on this could be either a microfinance level or at a higher level, where you would need essentially de-risking mechanisms to allow renewables projects unlock lower costs of capital and allow them get off the ground.
Right, definitely. I think we have time for just one more question, and we have received a lot of them, but I think we might not have time. I encourage the audience members to get in touch with us, and we can get back to them on the other questions. But the one that I want to ask you is that this report is quite data intensive, and some of our audience members are interested in knowing if the numbers are available in the report, or are they part of the presentation?
I like what we've unpacked here is just the highlights, I would say, of the report. The report is quite large and detail in the annex. It details all the assumptions therein and how they are determined. But of course, if you have any further questions, you can contact us, and we'd be more than happy to discuss. But as I said, a key factor in this was stakeholder engagement with a national stakeholder workshop held in Abuja in January 2020, and then another workshop held in December 2022. So, and this helped us really on a sector by sector basis assess the barriers to adoption, and ultimately helped us attune our scenarios a bit more to make them better, to make them resemble the reality of the opportunities and challenges facing the system there.
Right. Great. I think this is the end of the Q&A section. May I request you to go to the next slide?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So our 30 minutes are unfortunately up. I would like to thank Sean for his time and for sharing his knowledge and insights on our latest work. I would also like to thank all of you for joining us today, for your attention and questions. We hope that you learned something new. I would like to repeat that the recordings and the slides will be posted on the IRENA events website for those who missed any part of the webinar. We'll be back again with more webinars in the coming weeks, and I wish you a great rest of the day, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.